Good morning, guys. It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord. Coming back at you with another Sunday watch list. Just wanted to give you an update on what levels we're looking at. Some beautiful plays last week based off some of the analysis we had last Sunday. We did get through a lot of that red folder news on Untamed. A lot of the indexes like SPY and QQQ continue to break out levels. Qs are now in blue sky territory, so pretty good week last week for the Bulls, as expected. Nothing quite bearish as of yet. I did mention NVIDIA in the middle of the week. Actually, on Sunday, I said if we get up to the 145 level, that could be the top for the right shoulder. They're actually getting investigated by China's administration this morning for an anti-monopoly probe, is what Bloomberg is reporting. Some of the red folder news we have this morning: core CPI, not this morning, but Wednesday, core CPI, CPI month over month, CPI year over year. That'll be a big one. That's the inflation consumer price index. So that will kind of give us a better idea on if the Fed has this tamed or not, because it has been kind of sticky or rising ever so slightly. The forecast right now, it looks like point 0.3 is what's forecasted. Previous is 0.3, CPI year over year 0.3, previous is 0.2. So it might rise ever so slightly. CPI year over year 2.7 is forecasted. Previous is 2.6. So what's expected is just a big number based off, if they miss it by, a little bit more, say it goes to 2.9, 2 or 3.0, that would scare the market tremendously. But if you're expecting 2.7, or it stays at 2.6, or it goes to 2.5, that's where like the expectation can either be beat or hammered. Just kind of depends on the reaction. I've seen CPIs be a little bit more hot than expected, but still continue to rise the market. Then you have core PPI, unemployment claims Thursday. So we'll see how some of those red folders news play out. We do have some nice levels to play off of. SPY, we are kind of in that, to me, a little bit of an overextended level. It's hard to, quite gauge what's overextended nowadays with how bullish it's been and how strong we've been. But you can kind of draw some levels with like a nice little channel. See, it's denied, 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 denied. And it's kind of getting into those levels again. Slight divergence on the RSI. You have a higher low being created as there's a higher high right here. A little bit of a rising wedge to play off of. Let me delete this channel, make it a little cleaner. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. If things do start to turn bearish and there is a slight, pullback below this level, around like 605, 600 level, I think would be even more like consistent with it, because it could come back and just retest this previous level that it had, something like this. So it's like, if it does break out, that doesn't mean immediately that it's just going to fall all the way back down to the channel, but I think there could be some quick sell side if it starts to lose that little rising wedge. If it does break above, I mean, we're talking 615, 620, somewhere in that area. But obviously, we are getting into that extended range. We've pushed up. It's been a straight line up. So there is potential for a pullback this week. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't just predict exactly, but we predicted the nice little pennant. That's why you draw your patterns, you watch the lines, because QQQ last week had a beautiful week. It was in this range when we first started, came down, boom. As soon as you get that breakout, consolidates, boom, consolidates, boom. So it's like you got that breakout, and that's really where the big gains were made. I mean, we're talking close to $10, $15 of gains just in a week. So the calls definitely were hammered and made quite a bit of money on the Qs. So that's why you always watch it. Now we're kind of in those levels where, is it overextended? We're starting to get that divergence on the RSI. You see the lower highs here. It's going down. It's in a downward trend, but then you look at the candlesticks and we're obviously continuing to go up. So right here, higher highs, higher lows, and then here, higher or lower highs, lower lows. So clear divergence on the RSI to price action. That doesn't mean that instantly it's bearish, but but it does show that if there is a bearish divergence, that the trend could be weakening or the trend could be changing soon. That's basically what divergence means. So when you see that, it's starting to get a little overextended. That's where I play caution personally. A lot of people be like, oh, wait for everyone has a different strategy, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Is there is divergence, it is extended, so potentially we start to get that pullback. I'm not sure. There has been times I've called for a pullback and it's never happened, but last week I was pretty bullish. Now this week I'm like cautiously there. I'm not saying that we're bearish in any means, because right now, I mean, we are generally just flagging. You could break it down in like the 15-minute and see we're just going sideways. So blue skies above 526, we could go to 530, 535. If we start to break below 524, I think that was our last level of like major support, somewhere right below here. Then we could start to see the 520 area retest 520. If we lose that, 515. So 520, 515, anything above 527, 528, we're in blue skies. We could see 530, 535. We just kind of have to wait and see. The sideways action is good. That's a good thing. A pullback would be good as well. It's healthy for the market. IWM is still flagging. Last week, I thought it was going to break and have its breakout. It didn't. Usually QQQ and IWM, unless it's a huge rally like an FOMC or something, they kind of, go back and forth. So like if the Qs are strong, they're weak this morning. Now IWM is looking decent this morning. Found a nice support at the bottom of this flag trend that it has going on. You really just want to see the break of 241, and then you can see the 245 area be tested. So that would be the top. Let me get a rectangle in here. So yeah, if it breaks this flag level, then it's going to break above, and then most likely test this 245 area. If it breaks out of that, then we're gone. We're talking 250. By the end of the year at least. We still have a few more weeks left in the week. Everything's still looking pretty bullish. That's part of the reason I'm not bearish yet. It's just because seasonality wise, and there's not really many levels. There are individual stocks like Nvidia that I was getting bearish on, but IWM coiling up nicely. They tend to do that for a little bit longer than people would like, but just got to be patient. So be really patient. Broke out, had this retest. Now it's having a long flagging, accumulation phase. And if it breaks, you could see a move just like that. Because when IWM gets to move and it starts to have a good continuation day, that was a beautiful 7% move. Hypothetically, if we had 7% from the break of this flag, it would bring us to about 260. And 250, 260, I think there's a lot of like hedge fund managers price targets on IWM by the end of the year, but I could definitely realistically see 250. I'm still bullish on IWM. I still hold them in my 401k, so we'll just have to wait and see. There's definitely some beautiful levels to play out there, though. It looks really good. Let's break it down into Bitcoin still holding like the 100,000 range. As you can see, it's just going sideways. Congrats to all the holders on that. Apple still looking very bullish. It had its breakout last week that we are expecting, breaking this huge thing that's huge. It's just been on a tear lately. If you look at their daily, I think they went on like, it was technically red. Oh shoot, there it goes. It was technically red on Friday, but it went on like a 13-day like tear where it was just green, 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 green. If it does start to break down that consolidation, it could for sure come back and retest this 238 level. That would be the big level you'd want to hold, because you don't want it to peak its head above and then drop right below. But as of right now, beautiful sideways action, just basing. Nothing bearish about that at all. When it breaks out of a huge trend and then bases, it's just gonna find a good support, work its way through, and then if it does break above the 245 level, we're gone. We could start to see 250. If it breaks below the 240, 241 level, that's where you could start to see it retest its previous, resistance, try and flip that into support, and then get that bounce from there. Then it would have to test the previous consolidation level. Microsoft still looking very, very bullish. It's been on a pretty strong trend, as you can see. This channel right here, let me break it down. You can see there's a nice uptrend channel that's been occurring. So until that breaks down, I don't see anything bearish about Microsoft. So, there it is. So it's right where you would expect it to bounce. If it does start to break below that, maybe you could see the 200 on the 1 hour retest around 422. But let me extend it. You can see that they are in a big range. So this was a major point to get over. There's a lot of resistance here. You can see denied, denied. You know, it fell down tremendously there. Denied, denied. So now that it's getting up here and it's been inching up and the RSI is a little up there, does that mean it gets denied again? I don't know. That's where the market just seems kind of eerie to me. It's a little bit extended to that point, and some stocks are in major resistances. So we'll see how it plays out. Nvidia, like I was reporting this morning, according to Bloomberg, China's State Administration for Market Regulation opened an investigation looking into Nvidia over suspicions that the chip maker has broken anti-monopoly laws. China Central Television said in a report on Monday, according to Bloomberg's Amy Thompson. So I was pointing out that we had a head and shoulders forming. The right shoulder is kind of playing out a little bit. There's still going to be a big support here at the 130 level. If it does lose that, the target would be around 124, 120, somewhere around there. As of right now, this right shoulder is starting to play out a little bit, but for best case scenario, you wait for the 130 level to be broken. This level down here is a pretty big support. Nvidia is still bullish. This is just a headline, as Jimmy always says. Nvidia moves off a headline, but when it's headlines like this, where they're opening an anti-monopoly or something, usually those are buy the dip moments. And I'm not necessarily super bearish on Nvidia, but I did realize the pattern looks kind of toppy, so I'm not bullish either, just kind of neutral. Tesla, very, very bullish action. We had that flag forming last week. It broke out. Now it's going, and it looks like I think it touched 400 and pre-market this morning. It's up 2%. For some reason, excuse me, it's like 5:30 in the morning over here. Been really busy at work, but for some reason, Nvidia and Tesla never move in tandem. If one's up, the other's red. Vice versa. If Tesla's down, then Nvidia is usually green. So if Tesla continues its strength this week, I could potentially see Nvidia testing this 132 level. That's just a little tidbit of information. It's not guaranteed, but as of recently, I've seen that a lot. This flag break was huge. Now Tesla's working through that 400 level. Fully expect possibly a pullback. But as I've been showing you guys for a lot of time now, is like, you see why we watch these big flag patterns. I mean, this is 4 years of time that it could not break this trend. And eventually it did, and you just see these huge green candles. People just start accumulating. This isn't retail. As much as you think your little stock trade matters and moves the market, it doesn't. It's going to be the billions of dollars that these hedge funds and institutions buy, and you could just see the accumulation, the volume on some of these green sticks. People are starting to get into Tesla, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's why you accumulate for the long term. And I've always believed in Tesla, even in all these bad weeks that they've had. I was starting to accumulate somewhere around here below the 200, and it was a great first start. It came back at a huge retest, and then now it's been up ever since. But overall, if you look at it, just a beautiful break. It had its retest too in that weekly candle. So now it's just going. It's testing its all-time highs up here. If that does start to break, then we're really cooking in blue skies. So we'll see that's up in the 420 area. If it does mount and break the 400 area, that's going to obviously be the next level of resistance, because that is all-time highs. So we'll see how it goes this week. It's definitely very possible that it can get in that 420 area. I think Jimmy on Discord was saying 450 could be possible by the end of the year, which I do agree with if it does get through some of these levels. overall, the market really doesn't look bad. Like, we'll go back to the Qs. Yeah, it's down a little bit, but it had a crazy week last week. If you can afford a pullback of 2 to 5%, and still be pretty bullish. Uh, like I said, just watch for that 524 level. We lose that 520. We lose that 515. So there's a lot of levels of support for big tech. So when you're looking at it, you know, don't think, oh, it's a pullback, everything's crashing. No, it's just a healthy amount of profit taking. When you go up that significantly in a short amount of time, there's going to be people that are going to take their profits. Meta came back, retested, had that beautiful bounce, broke above the 608 level. These are all things that I was, preaching in the last video. I remember showing you the support and that it could work its way towards, the top of this range. It did get there. And as you can see what happens when it comes to the top of the range, this previous level that was resistance comes down, buys, finds support here, works it out, goes sideways. Now it's bouncing. So it's the same thing. It broke above. Now it's trying to mount it. Now you want it to see a break again. So we're in healthy uptrends on most of big tech. Nothing's very bearish yet. I just, err on the side of caution when you start to see divergences. There's a divergence here again, higher lows happening, and then you see on the charts that there are higher highs. So when divergences happen, be a little bit cautious. The trend could be weakening. It could change soon. And that's why we have our levels. Because if it does come back down, loses 609, then you could start to see possibly it gets back in this range to the 548 level. AMD, very, very weak. Semiconductors have just been weak in general. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. They did have a crazy, excuse me, they did have an insane year. So that could be part of the reason that they're just kind of doing a pullback to end the year and then they start back up in 2025. But overall, AMD's still been pretty bullish. They have been weaker compared to some other ones like Broadcom, AVGO, and NVIDIA and stuff. So we'll see. Below their 200 is never really a good thing. It is technically bear flagging down here. It needs to be above, at least 145 to start to cook back up to this 200. But if it does break down, this is a great level, I'm telling you. I'm watching for that 125 level. If it comes into that, you're going to have at least a double bottom here, with this previous big support that I found, and you have, a big trend line that it's been bought up from several times. RSI most likely would be close to the oversold level. So that's what I'm looking for. I would love to be a buyer at 125 instead of, some people who got duped this week where it got up to 145. Now it's getting sold back off. It's down 1.5% in pre-market. Amazon, still very, very bullish action. Broke above its all-time highs. Blue skies. Nothing really bearish about it. It's just mounting and basing. Beautiful uptrend. There is a slight divergence here. That's why I'm getting kind of cautious, because most stocks have a divergence going right now. Netflix just been on an absolute tear. I mean, there's a possibility we see 1,000 by the end of the year. It just hasn't stopped. You get your big pullback, people buy the dip, and there it goes. So nothing more I would really like to show you. Oh, there was Baba. I'm a big long-term holder on them. I don't know exactly what's happening in China, but they're finally getting a little bit of love. It came back down, and as you can see, this big, big downtrend that it was in for a long time, and that's where it's getting its bounce. It came back, and we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of selling since that liquidity thing that they injected comes back, and where does it bounce? The 200 and the trend line. So it's like that's exactly where you want to see the bounce occur, and that's exactly what's happening. It held it to a T. Now it's on the trend line, and we're getting a good bounce. So we could potentially get some or some I can't think of the word. Continuation. Sorry, I don't know why I drew a blank there. We could potentially get some continuation. It looks like that was a good buy. The RSI is obviously really high, but that was such a long downtrend, and now it's just breaking out just like that. So if we do get a retest of like the 88, 89, I would be a huge buyer again, maybe some options, but I do like this bounce that it's showing right now. SMCI, they got an extension Jimmy was mentioning of their their auditing process that's been going on. So a lot of the late shorts are getting burned with that one. We'll just have to see, but overall, it looks like a pretty good week ahead. Might just be some choppiness. Maybe there's a decent amount of selling. I don't know. One of my favorite plays is IWM. I think they could have some good continuation going into the end of the year. May not be this week, maybe next week or the week following, but right now it is trending in a good position. QQQ I think could be due for a pullback, but I'm looking for that 524 level to start accumulating a little bit more. SPY a little bit extended in my opinion with the divergence, so we'll see how it plays out. But if it does start to sell, we have some good levels to look at. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I'll catch up with you guys in the Discord. I hope everyone has a great week ahead, and let's kill it.